Welcome to another deep dive. We always say, send us your weirdest stuff, and you did not disappoint.
You weren't kidding.
This is really something else. Okay, so the source material you sent, it's fragmented. It's like pieces of a larger story labeled FSRR. And from what we can piece together, it seems to be set in a future where humanity's had to ditch Earth, like pack it up and head for the stars.
A dying Earth scenario, classic sci-fi setup.
Right. But there's a twist. These space colonies, they call them dragons, they're not just chilling on new planets. They've got time travel. It's like interstellar empires with a time machine.
Which, as you can imagine, is a recipe for disaster. And that seems to be where the story picks up.
With a big old mess.
Yeah.
And at the heart of it all is this rogue general. It seems she's trying to change the past.
Always a bad idea. Messing with the timeline.
Tell me about it. So our mission, if we choose to accept it,
Which we always do.
is to untangle this sci-fi mystery for you. Buckle up, folks, because it's going to be a wild ride.
It's like we've been handed a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing, and there's no picture on the box to guide us.
Okay, so let's start with the pieces we do have. The first one that caught our eye was the spaceship, the FSRR Sonante. It's hurtling towards Alpha Centauri, but they're not just explorers, they're running from something.
From the consequences of this general's time travel experiment, it's gone wrong in a big way. And we see the personal cost right away. The captain, his home, Dragon D7, it was destroyed. How do you even begin to process that kind of loss?
And lead a mission at the same time.
Right.
Talk about pressure. But, it's not all doom and gloom on this ship.
Oh, no.
There's this incident with Bingo the engineer.
Oh, yeah, I read about that.
He gets ejected into space. For a joke. Bad timing, apparently.
Oh, a bit extreme, you think?
Maybe. But it highlights this tension on board, right? Like one wrong word, one misplaced action could have serious consequences. I mean, they are dealing with a time travel disaster.
Makes you wonder what kind of leadership you need in a situation like that when the stakes are that high.
Right. You need someone who can keep a cool head while hurtling through space. Okay, so we've got loss, we've got tension, and maybe a dash of dark humor. But let's talk about the mysterious dead zones on this ship.
Ah, yes. The elephant in the spaceship.
They're described as off-limits, potentially dangerous, and it seems they're hiding secrets about the ship's past.
Shrouded in mystery. Literally, the fragments mention them being off-grid, like deliberately disconnected from the ship's AI. Almost as if they pose a threat.
It was like a haunted house inside a spaceship.
Exactly.
And as if things weren't strange enough, there's this voting ritual they do every night.
Every night.
Yeah, with colored rocks and a mysterious box. It's not explained, but it feels very significant to their culture.
Rituals are always interesting. They tell you a lot about a society's values and how they maintain order. It makes you wonder, what are they voting on every night? Is it practical matters or something deeper, like reaffirming their unity in the face of all this uncertainty?
Right. It's like a constant check-in to stay cohesive. But then comes the bombshell. The FSRR Sonante wasn't always a spaceship. It was an ancient Earth space station from 1994.
Talk about a mind-blowing twist. Their whole understanding of themselves, their history is flipped on its head. Imagine discovering that your entire world is built on a foundation you never knew existed.
And this discovery happens as they arrive at Rigel K, a new star system, where they find a potential home on a moon of New Neptune Fresh Start, right?
You'd think so, but remember, they're still dealing with the fallout from the General's actions. And then comes the cliffhanger, another settlement on New Neptune. But they're using technology that seems like it's from Earth's past. These anciently Earthers, they call them.
But how?
It raises so many questions. How did they get there? Is it connected to the time wave? And what does it mean for our crew who are trying to escape the past? It seems they can't outrun history even on a new planet.
This is just getting started. We've got a lot more to uncover in the next part of our deep dive. Buckle up, folks, because things are about to get even weirder. Okay, so we're diving deeper into this world, trying to understand the events that led to Earth's downfall and the rise of these spacefaring dragons. In these fragments, they keep mentioning trash burners, and the term feels loaded, like there's a lot of baggage there.
Oh, absolutely. It speaks to a complicated relationship these future societies have with their ancestors. You can sense the judgment, maybe even a bit of fear.
It's easy to judge from a distance, right?
Of course. And these fragments, they don't paint a pretty picture of the good old days. Pollution, mass extinction, a scramble for resources. Makes you wonder, what were they trying to save? What was Earth like at that point of no return?
It adds another layer to the general's motives.
Right.
It wasn't just scientific curiosity, it was about survival. But then there's this mention of her arraignment accusations of manipulating time for personal gain.
So was it altruism, or was there something more sinister at play? It's hard to say for sure. But these fragments, they hint at a power struggle within the dragons. Different factions with conflicting ideas about how to deal with the past.
Which makes you think, if you could change the past knowing what we know now, would you? Where do you draw the line between fixing mistakes and playing God?
Big questions, right? And ones we grapple with even today without time travel. But speaking of grappling, let's go back to that voting ritual for a moment. We still haven't figured out what that's all about. Those colored rocks every night.
Yeah, it's such a specific detail. It has to be important.
Well, rituals, they often evolve from practical needs. Maybe those rocks were a way to ensure everyone's voice was heard, a physical representation of their vote. And doing it every night, maybe it signifies this need for constant reassessment, a way to adapt to their ever-changing circumstances.
So it's not just about decision-making. It's about maintaining social cohesion in a very unstable world. But what about those dead zones? Do these fragments give us any more clues about what's really going on there?
There are a few hints. The fragments emphasize their isolation. They're off-grid, disconnected from the ship's AI. It's almost like they were intentionally sealed off, like a vault containing something dangerous.
Okay, now you're just making it creepier.
Hmm.
And the language they use, habitable zone, ending like the lip of a cliff. No one ever returns. It's giving me chills.
They represent the unknown, the forbidden. And then there's this one line that really stood out to me. Microchips in their heads.
Hold on. Now we're getting into conspiracy theory territory. What is going on in those dead zones? Are they hiding something about their true nature?
It definitely adds this layer of paranoia to the whole story. Who can you trust when you don't even know the nature of the space you're inhabiting?
Right. And this brings us back to Bingo. Remember after his little spacewalk mishap, he ends up on a tanker ship.
Yeah, completely different environment, slower, less tense. But it also exposes him to a different side of this future society.
And they're still using oil-based energy. You'd think in this advanced future they would have moved past that.
It makes you wonder, have they really progressed? Or are they just repeating the same mistakes, even with the ability to travel between the stars?
It speaks to that cyclical nature of history, right? The idea that even with technology and knowledge, we might still be bound by our human flaws.
A sobering thought. But Bingo's journey, it also highlights something else. The importance of community, finding connection, even in the vastness of space.
Totally. His interactions with the tanker crew, their kindness, their willingness to help, it underscores the enduring power of human connection.
And then there's this whole question of identity. Remember, Bingo hesitates to reveal his real name.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Maybe names have taken on a different meaning in this world. Perhaps they represent a chosen identity, a way to shed the baggage of the past.
Interesting. And Bingo's hesitation could be a sign of vulnerability, right? A fear of not being accepted for who he truly is.
It ties in with that recurring theme of trying to escape the past, whether it's through time travel or through reinventing oneself. Can we ever truly outrun who we are?
And that question becomes even more urgent when we consider the discovery at the end of this set of fragments, the ancient Earthers on New Neptune.
Right. How did they get there? What does their presence mean for this fragile new colony?
It seems our crew can't escape the past no matter how far they travel. And that's where we'll pick up in the final part of our deep dive as we explore the arrival at Rigel K and what this encounter means for everyone. Right, we're in the final act of this time-traveling saga. Our crew has made it to Rigel K, a new star system, a potential haven after everything they've been through. So what's the mood like in these fragments as they approach New Neptune?
You can feel the sense of relief, almost like a collective sigh as they reach their destination. They've been traveling for years through the vast emptiness of space, and now they finally see this new world, this beacon of hope. It must feel like a culmination of a long and perilous journey.
A new beginning, right? A chance to leave the past behind. But even in this moment of hope, there are hints of challenges to come. Like this detail about drawing lots for genetic diversity. What's that about?
Well, it shows that they're really aware of the mistakes that led to Earth's downfall. They're trying to build a balanced society to avoid repeating those patterns. And this lottery system, while it might seem odd, it shows their commitment to fairness, to ensuring the survival of their community in the long term.
It's like they're saying, we've learned from the past and we're going to do things differently this time, but this is FSRR. It can't be that simple.
Yeah.
What happens to Bingo and his friends on this medium island they end up on?
At first, it seems idyllic. Bingo talks about weddings, coffee, swimming in ponds. It's like those simple joys of life are returning. They've finally found a place to call home, a place to heal. But there's this shadow hanging over it all.
Right. The memory of D7. The uncertainty of what's happening to the other dragons. The past isn't easily forgotten.
No, it's always there, lurking beneath the surface. And just when things seem to be calming down, we get that cliffhanger, alarms blaring panic, and then the mention of anciently Earthers. Why do you think Bingo is so shaken by this discovery?
It's like seeing a ghost, isn't it? A ghost of the very past they were trying to escape. The technology they see, the pollution these anciently Earthers are causing, it's all too familiar.
Exactly. It's that realization that history is repeating itself. They haven't broken free from that cycle of destruction. And it raises a terrifying question. If they fled one dying planet, what's to stop them from doing the same thing on this new one?
It makes you wonder, are we as humans inherently self-destructive? Are we doomed to repeat our mistakes even with the knowledge of the past and the ability to travel through time?
It's a chilling thought, and one that's relevant to our world today. We see the consequences of environmental damage, of social injustice, of our own short-sightedness, but we struggle to change course. Maybe this story is a warning, a reminder that we need to break free from these cycles, to make conscious choices that lead to a more sustainable future.
It's definitely a powerful message. And while we don't have all the answers, this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. The nature of time, the responsibility of leadership, the fragility of community, and the enduring question of what it means to be human.
It's a story that sticks with you. It challenges you to look at the world and at yourself in a new light. And who knows, maybe someday we'll get more pieces of this puzzle, more fragments from FSRR that will shed light on the mysteries we've uncovered today.
I'm already looking forward to that deep dive. But until then, thanks for listening, and keep those messages in a bottle coming.